Literature was nice. Somehow, there had been a shift in my relationship with Mark. Maybe he was just being gentle because he knew I had a lot on my mind. The rest of the class had been rearranged to new seating, but apparently he'd convinced Mrs. Roberts that, for the good of his grade, he needed to keep me as a reading partner. Aw, use that vampire charm at Mrs. Roberts, huh? And when we'd started a new play, he'd actually complained surprisingly little. Maybe because Benedict had some pretty good lines and he could appreciate the wit. I kinda liked this one too, anyway. You seem to be enjoying this play more than the last. I was just thinking the same thing about you, actually. But yeah, I like this one. I can relate to Beatrice. The part does seem like it was written for you. Right? Not to change the subject, but during lunch, there's somewhere I want to take you. Me? During lunch? Unless you don't wish to go. Where do you want to take me? You'll see during lunch. Mysterious. Should I be scared? Do you think I'd take you somewhere frightening? I don't know, this is you. Just be straightforward. Like, no, I trust you. There's been a shift. We've gone kind of past the, like, there's gonna be a little bit of banter, but there's been a shift in the relationship of, no, I trust you. You know when to be serious and when to tease, and you're not teasing right now. You're like very serious about, like, I want to take you somewhere for lunch. I trust you. I smiled slightly. No, I don't. Yeah. His lips curved up. He was apparently pleased that I'd given him that one so easily. I got you. Then you've answered your own question. I suppose I have. Couldn't win against his practicality, I guess. Then in that case, I suppose it won't be a problem for you to meet me in the club room at lunch. The club? Okay. Sure. So he wanted to take me to the club room for lunch? That was odd. Then again, I'd heard that the door in there apparently didn't just lead to the library, so maybe we were going somewhere through there. That was the only thing I could think of, but was that even allowed? She's going through all this and he's like, just wait and let me surprise you. It's a courtyard. I didn't really know how the school rules applied to things like traveling through magic portals. The handbook didn't exactly cover that much. Mark gently flicked my forehead. You're overthinking it. Stop overthinking it. You'll see when we get there. It's human nature to think about things. But it's your bad habit to get sucked into a cycle of overthinking it. Then don't be so mysterious. I'm not being mysterious. I would simply like it to be a surprise. Oh, a surprise? I suspect you'll enjoy it, so just wait patiently until then. So I guess we are going somewhere through the door. Now I was really curious to see what he had in mind. Lunch rolled around fairly quickly. It never failed to impress me how normal life managed to continue in spite of everything that was going on in the club room or at home each evening. There was a strange disconnect between the reality I knew existed and the one that everyone else was a part of. I kept having moments of clarity where that disconnect was strangely apparent. It was odd being a part of both realities. At any rate, as soon as the bell rang signaling the start of lunch, I made my way up to the 4th floor. Mark was already waiting for me in the club room, sitting in one of the wingback chairs reading. I paused in the doorway, amused by the scene in front of me. He looked so at home in the fancy club, lounging there reading. He looked up the moment I entered and closed his book. Are you ready? Yes, though I'm still curious where we're going. You'll find out momentarily. What should I do with my things? You can bring them along. He led the way to the far door and knocked, distinctly differently than how one knocked to get to the library. And with that, he pushed the door open. And he popped on his sunglasses while we walked through the door. The door opened to an unfamiliar courtyard. There were several tables and chairs, as well as some lovely greenery. I stepped through, immediately aware how much warmer it was in that place than at home. Mark put his sunglasses on before he followed me through. It's beautiful. What is this place? Solace Court is, I believe, the name. Where even is this? It definitely wasn't anywhere near Pine Hollow. It was way too warm and green. It felt more like summer than fall. I'm unsure of the exact location. It's gorgeous. Indeed, it is. You can get to the murder through there, incidentally. He pointed to one of several doors in the building that lined the courtyard. What? Really? So it's a shortcut? Why am I just now learning of this? That would have been convenient during all our tutoring sessions. Mark just shrugged, nonplussed by my mock outrage. I almost never come here. It honestly didn't occur to me to show you. Then why are you bringing me here today if you almost never come here? I thought you would like it. And also... I'm gonna cry. This boy is just like, you need to make up with your friend. What can I do to, like, arrange things and, like, make stuff better? Ugh. I've literally got tears. Why am I so why does this guy make me so emotional? Man. You're a good guy, Mark. You got me right in the kokoro. Ugh. The door to the library opened again mid-sentence and Allie stepped through. I shot Mark a look. He simply raised an eyebrow and cocked his head slightly. He didn't seem at all surprised to see her. And she comes here also, was that what you were about to say? Allie clearly didn't expect to see me either. Surprise was written all over her face. What are you doing here? I was just leaving. No, don't say that. Leave Mark out of this. He's trying to get you guys to talk. Talk. What are you doing here? I eat lunch here. I shot Mark a glance. He had to have known that, right? Is this why he brought me here? Why here instead of the cafeteria? It's just easier, I guess. The more time I spend with people who aren't in the club, the more I realize how much of my life I can't share with them. How come you never told me about it? I could have eaten lunch here with you. Well, I heard you were having lunch with Danny and Elliot, so I figured you just wanted to hang out with them. You were kind of struggling with, you know, the idea of all this. I thought you wanted to maintain that normalcy, like they do. I've been wondering this whole time where you had lunch. Really? Why didn't you ever ask? I kept forgetting. Mark cleared his throat softly and started to the other side of the courtyard. Thank you, Boo. Where are you going? I took the liberty of ordering something for you to eat. I believe I'll go pick it up. He not so subtly left me and Allie alone to talk. I wasn't sure what to say. It was Allie who spoke first, of course. You're not still mad at me, are you? I'm not mad. I was never mad. I went to sit at the nearest table, flopping into one of the chairs. I know I probably came across that way. It's just... the idea that I might not be me is kind of a lot to deal with. I was just frustrated that everyone else was suggesting it so casually. Or casually suggesting we test it like the fallout wouldn't have massive implications for me.
I wasn't trying to be casual about it. I mean, you're still you. You always will be. I never meant to imply otherwise.
She joined me at the table, giving me an earnest look as she leaned toward me, resting her arms on the table.
I just thought if we could test the theory and if Spencer could see that it didn't work, he might be able to move on.
And what if it does work?
I mean, I don't think it would.
But you don't know. I don't even know.
You're really worried about this, aren't you?
Yes! Ugh. I dragged my hands through my hair. Of course I was worried about it. How could I not worry about that? Allie reached over abruptly and hugged me tightly.
I'm really sorry. I didn't think it through. I was just thinking of it as a way to prove Spencer wrong. I wasn't really considering the possibility that he was onto something.
I leaned my head on her shoulder, squeezing my eyes shut tight. What if he really is right? I could lose everything. Allie squeezed me tighter.
Not everything. Wherever this ends, I'm going to be right beside you, I promise.
She pulled away and, still holding tightly to my shoulders, looked me in the eye.
Listen. Right now, things are getting even crazier than usual with all the prepping for Samhain this weekend. I'm pretty swamped with stuff, so let's just not do anything yet. I know waiting sucks, but the timing of this all just sucks. Which, that's not your fault or anything. It's just the timing being weird. You can keep researching to see if you can find some alternative theories. In the meantime, if you're okay with it, I'll look for some safe ways we can test this theory. We can do it when Spencer's not around, so that no matter the results, we can plan out how to handle it without him freaking out.
Okay.
There are also a few other things I want to look into. This coming Monday is a day off from school. We can use that to do whatever we need to do. And until then, don't worry about it.
How can I not worry about this? This could be the last weekend I spend with my family. Come Monday, I could find out I'm a bridge spriggan.
A what now?
You know, a creepy fairy that should be living under a bridge or something.
Yeah, no. I don't think that's much of a concern.
You don't know that!
Yes. Yes, I do know that. Stop overthinking this.
I blew my bangs out of my face and flopped onto the table. If there's another Nora out there somewhere, do you think we could just convince my parents we were triplets instead of twins?
That could be doable.
Whoa, seriously?
Memories are pretty malleable. If there's another Nora out there. She spent her whole life in Fairy. She may not be able to come back. She may not want to. This isn't a situation where we're dealing with infants who can't choose where they stay and what they do. No matter what happens going forward, you get a choice. And so does she, if she even exists, which is something I'm still massively dubious about.
This is all so weird.
I know. Welcome to the world of the paranormal.
The world of the paranormal really needs to work on its welcome gifts, because mine sucks. I apologize for the delay. Mark returned and set a white bag and 2 paper cups on the table. Each was emblazoned with the black crow silhouette from the Murders logo. Allie shot me a teasing grin.
So, lunch date?
No. Perhaps. Maybe? Wait, what? He smirked slightly.
I see how it is. Well, if you two will excuse me, I think I'm going to go have lunch elsewhere.
Wait, you... And we're back to being best friends. She disappeared before I could finish my sentence. I glanced up at Mark, raising an eyebrow. Perhaps? It isn't incorrect. But it's not exactly definitive. It kind of implies this is... somewhat... a date. Mark opened the bag and pulled out a single sandwich, which he placed in front of me. I thought you would enjoy this one. I eyed the bag curiously when I realized my lunch was all that was in it. You don't eat? Of course I eat, just not typically sandwiches. You can't eat them? I can, but your food is the equivalent of junk food for me, and my body doesn't handle it well. I prefer not to deal with the digestive unrest. I snickered softly. I see. Digestive unrest, eh? You don't bring, your own food? Can you imagine me drinking blood at school? You could always claim it's tomato juice. They don't have the same color, consistency, or smell. The risk of being exposed isn't worth it. I suppose that's true. So, did you bring me here so I could talk to Allie? The disagreement was clearly weighing on you both. But, given how stubborn you are, I suspected you weren't going to talk to her unless you were forced to do so. Well, normally I'd see her in the mornings, whether I like it or not, but I rode with Spencer today. Speaking of him, he's been really tired the last few days. I guess I'm not the only one having bad dreams. You've been having nightmares. I don't know if that's the right way to characterize them. They are sort of disquieting, though. They feel more like memories. Mine, I guess. I think they might be from the times I went missing. After I wake up, they fade pretty fast, so I can't quite recall the details. It's just sort of uncomfortable, and definitely adds to the feeling that I've got to figure all this out soon. I think we should talk to the murder. Today, if I can get away. They're potentially the quickest way to discover the truth you're looking for. There's a chance they may be able to figure out something about your origins without having to do some sort of test. Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't you tell me, like, right at the beginning not to talk to them because the fee would be exorbitant? You said I shouldn't talk to them about it. I'm pleased you actually remember that warning. However, the circumstances have changed. This no longer appears to be a situation where you can find the answers by yourself. Ewan knew nothing of use, and Brenna rejected any attempts to discuss it with her. I really didn't expect her to be willing to divulge any secrets. Rumor has it that she's on really bad terms with the courts, but even so, it's obvious her loyalty to Fairy still runs deep in some ways. She's always been loath to talk about anything regarding the Fae, so I suspected asking her would be an exercise in futility. At this point, the only people I can think of who may be able to find something... The murder. Correct. If I recall, it was the payment that had you especially worried. It still has me somewhat concerned. It varies. They'll ask something of you specifically. Something only you can pay. I swear, if I have to pay Corvin a kiss to get information, and that's the stolen kiss part of this... Because he's been quiet this route. Every other route, he's like showing up and been like, hey yo, are you dating? I'm worried now. Stolen kiss just is like such worry. That sounds rather vague. Which is why it concerns me. There's no telling what they'll ask. It could be something simple. And it could be something less so.
Have you ever gotten help from them before?
No. But I'll go with you. At the very least, I'll ensure they don't take advantage of you.
Not that I need you there to not be taken advantage of.
I didn't mean it like that. But you can't deny that you have, in the past, been somewhat less wary than you should be.
I suppose that's true.
And while I have no direct experience with the murder outside of Corvin, I know enough to be cautious. I would prefer to be there. Just in case.
Worried about me?
I am.
Oh?
I don't want you to get in over your head.
I was silent because it was the first time he was voicing honest concern. I wasn't sure how to feel about it.
Nora.
Yeah?
If we go there, you need to be prepared for whatever they tell you. They may not say what you wish to hear.
I know that.
Whatever they tell you. Whatever they tell you, I will be here to help you with it. For as long as you wish me to be here.
Without thinking, I reached for his hand. He flinched slightly, but didn't pull away when I took it. Thanks. Mark didn't respond. He was staring at our hands with an expression that seemed strangely bewildered. Something about the look on his face made my breath catch in my throat. He shifted his hand slightly, and suddenly his fingers were slipping between mine. Ah, first Mark blush! Yes! He finally looked up at me, his face suspiciously red as our eyes met.
That isn't something you need to thank me for.
He smiled slightly as he looked down at me. Shut up!
Your heart rate is elevated.
Stupid vampire spidey sense! No, it isn't! I tried to pull my hand away, but he held on tightly.
It is.
I looked away from him, my eyes darting around the courtyard as I looked for something, anything to look at besides his face. Ewan, where are you eating lunch at? Under that tree. Well, thank you for that medical assessment.
Would you like another one?
I suddenly felt his fingers on my chin, forcing me to look at him again. Heat flooded my face. What?
It's about to become even more elevated.
Huh? Whoa! Damn, what a line before he goes in for the smooch. Whew! Oh yeah, I love this route. Easy number one so far. Easy, easy. Ooh. And with that, he leaned across the table and carefully pressed his lips to mine. There was one moment of surprise before I closed my eyes. Yeah. Nice. And kissed him back. Eee! It wasn't stolen! What? There's no stealing? Ah! I was all worried for nothing. What a relief. Alright. Well, now that we've established romance, to the drama. Chapter 8, The Changeling Trials. My head was buried in my journal as I walked down the 4th floor corridor. Okay. I got the shirt in my bag. And the eggshells. The rest of the items on the list, though. I definitely need Allie's help to find. I was a little dubious about some of the items, though, but at least most of it would be manageable. I shut the book as I stepped through the club door, expecting Allie to be waiting for me already. Oh. No Allie, but there was a pretty interesting sight in front of me. William was sitting in one of the wingback chairs reading and sleeping on the sofa was Mark. I set my things down quietly as I entered. William looked up and smiled. I waved as I joined him on the other side of the room.
He set down his book. Good morning. Hi. I nodded toward Mark curiously. It seems like he got here early to see you, but he's not really a morning person. He's really not. I crouched next to him, studying his sleeping face. He looks so peaceful. I never really imagined getting to see him like this. But imagine if it was every morning, though. Just think about it. Most people do when they're sleeping. All the things they normally worry about are wiped away. Does Mark even really worry about anything? He worries a lot about you. My ears were burning as I turned my face away, unable to meet his eyes. Covering my mouth with my hand, I continued to study Mark's face. Without thinking, I reached to brush a lock of hair away from his eyes. He looked strangely younger. Sweet. Almost gentle. It wasn't an expression I'd seen on him a lot. He looked like that yesterday. My face went hot at the memory of yesterday's lunch date. Gah! I covered my face with my hands, trying to push those images away. Are you okay? I nodded, keeping my face hidden. I was still both exhilarated and utterly confused by what happened. Apparently, Mark found that response quite amusing, which irritated me to no end. I was sitting there with one hand to my mouth, staring at Mark. Coherent thoughts were trying to form, and failing. Why? Mark's usual stoic expression held a faint hint of amusement as he watched me struggle to speak. Why do you think? I don't know! I mean, I suppose that I did know, but when had things gone this way? Why hadn't I noticed? You really don't know. Most would at least realize that there are fairly limited reasons why I would kiss you. Don't say kiss so casually. How exactly am I supposed to say it then? I don't know. Don't look at me. I covered my face with my hands, unable to bear that amused smirk he was giving me. He kissed me. Mark kissed me. I kissed him. We kissed. My ears were so hot it felt like they were going to evaporate off the sides of my head. Oh my god! This isn't quite the reaction I expected. He pulled my hands away from my face and leaned closer, still wearing that infuriatingly smug grin. This is a surprising side of you. I never thought you'd get this embarrassed. Of course I'd get embarrassed by something like that. Just thinking of it again was making me embarrassed. My entire evening had been consumed by the memory of the way his hand had felt in mine in that moment, the sensation of his warm lips and the way his hair had brushed against my cheek. The way he'd been so close that, for that moment, there was nothing else in the world but the feeling of him kissing me. Even now, my heart was going crazy, just the memory of it all. The more I thought about it all, the more I realized that William is very patient and doesn't judge and is like, she obviously needs a moment, so I'm just gonna sit here and kind of smile at her until she notices me. We need to talk about this kiss.
I maybe liked him a little bit.
That I really liked him. Funnily, I couldn't pinpoint when it started. When exactly had my feelings toward him softened to this degree? At first, I'd been pretty sure I didn't like him at all. Then I got to know him, and William's just very softly smiling. I love it. And it was just fun to tease him. He was so cranky all the time that I couldn't help but find him funny. The way he'd respond to all my little jabs, and the way he'd get so annoyed at the most trivial things. He always had something to complain about. But at the same time, he was a bit of a mother hen. And that side of him was kind of frustrating and adorable. He was bossy, and he always complained that I wasn't careful enough or that I was running late. I couldn't help but find it endearing that beneath all the vampire snobbery was such a fussy, nitpicky warrior. Oh man, I'm in trouble, aren't I? Can William also hear thoughts some of the time? Because he taught Mark how to quiet outside thoughts. So I'm like, has William just been quietly listening to all this? Oh, poor William. I really, really liked him. A lot.
Damn it.
It looked like even amid an existential crisis, Samhain, vampires, and everything else, interpersonal relationships were still there. Real life continued. There was homework, there were chores, and boys to figure out. I couldn't decide if it was comforting or annoying. But ever since that first week, Mark had been there through everything. Helping, protecting me, encouraging me. Whether we were just friends or something more, I was grateful for it. Poor boy can't get any sleep with her thinking around him. I would be grateful if you'd stop shouting in my ear. I let out a scream of surprise when he spoke and scrambled away.
Did he hear all of that?
I really needed a hole to crawl into. Mark opened one eye and glared my way. I did ask you to stop shouting. He sounded like he'd just woken up from a deep sleep, not just a quick nap. Sorry. He swung his feet down and sat up, digging his knuckles into his eyes. Grumpy or not, it was still funny watching him try to wake up. So much of that cranky barrier he usually kept up had just fallen away. I found myself smiling affectionately before I even realized it. Mark looked up at me, hair mussed, eyes still a bit foggy. He patted the sofa next to him once, a tacit indication he wanted me to join him, I assumed. I crossed my arms and raised an eyebrow. If you want me to join you, you should at least say please. Mark pursed his lips and raised an eyebrow. I smirked at him. Please. I had the distinct feeling it wasn't a word he said often. From the wing-back chair came a soft laugh. William is so pure. He's just so happy that his friend is like got a girl. He's like, ah, this is great. I glanced William's way. He seemed to be trying to hide that laugh behind his book. Not succeeding extremely well. It looked like Mark was going to let it slide, though. I joined him on the sofa, still feeling a little embarrassed, but not quite as much. Given William's own talents when it came to mind reading, he'd probably heard all that girly squealing too. So he can mind read. Aw, William! I'm so sorry! What a bro. Ugh. Why are you so late? I'm not that late, really. But I guess I did have a slow start this morning. Spencer hasn't been sleeping well. I think all the stress is catching up to him. Also, there's a shadow that's probably trying to suck his energy away. Perhaps. He has gone through a lot. Is that why you've been riding with him instead of Allie? Yeah, Mom worries less if I'm with him. I'm the designated poker. Poker? Yeah, I'm there to poke him if he falls asleep at the wheel. Ah. Does that mean the two of you are getting along better? Not really.
Hey!
I turned, draping my arms over the back of the sofa. I can't believe I still got here before you.
Had to grab a few things before leaving today. Saying of which, you ready?
I stood. Yeah, I guess so. Where are you going?
Sorry, but I'm going to be borrowing Nora this morning. We're probably going to Miss Literature. I hope you're okay with that.
I don't mind, really. But are you sure Mrs. Roberts is going to be okay with that?
I have permission for us to miss class this morning. This takes precedence.
Permission from whom?
Velos. He's not really reporting any of this to the agency since it's a private matter, but he did want to keep tabs. Since he overheard the conversation on Sunday, it's not like I could hide it. He's just worried. And he was the one who insisted we do it now rather than wait.
Mark cleared his throat loudly. William also had put down his book and was watching us curiously. What exactly are the two of you going to be doing this morning?
Well, that's... We're going to be doing some tests on the changeling matter.
Changeling? It's kind of a long story, but, yeah. Seems like Spencer's convinced I am one. I thought you were opposed to proving yourself via tests. Well, I was. But at the same time, I feel like I can't really avoid this. Even if I want to. I can't just reject the idea because I don't like it. So, I'm just going to suck it up. No one's going to be able to move on unless we address this. What sort of tests? Surely you're not thinking of doing anything dangerous. I don't think Velos would allow them to do something dangerous. None of what we're planning is dangerous. Relax. I mean, there are some dangerous tests, but we're not doing those.
There are lots of potential methods for revealing changelings. We're sticking with the things that won't hurt anyone. Like William said, Velos would never let us do anything that's, as he puts it, stupid.
I'm sure you don't have to worry, Mark. I'm not worried. He leveled a scowl at me. And you're doing these tests now? This morning? This afternoon, actually. This morning we were just going to gather up everything we need. And what does your brother think of this? Is this an interrogation? Is it necessary to over-dramatize every interaction?
Oh my god, you two, don't even start.
Spencer doesn't know anything about it.
We figured it was better to not say anything to him until the tests are done. He'd probably be all weird about it.
My experience is that he is all weird about everything related to the club and his sister. He's just trying to cope with all the new information. He's done a rather poor job of it then. Mark, stop picking on William. I'm not. Yes, you are. You're being cranky and demanding at everyone. Just calm down. I am calm. I'm simply annoyed you elected not to inform me of any of this until just now. Allie gave me an amused look.
Oh? Should we have informed Mark?
I think the mother hen behavior has gotten worse. I rubbed my forehead. Well, I mean, obviously he cares that much. He was like, I'm gonna go be with you at the murder and stuff. He's like, trying to be there for you 100% of the time. And don't say you were planning to let him know beforehand, so, because like, well, I thought about it, but then I knew you were gonna freak out, and I didn't want to deal with it. Just, I mean, we should have told him. It would have been nice for him to at least know. I think that's fair. I suppose I could somewhat understand where he was coming from. You're right. I guess I should have told you. We hadn't actually started anything yet, so I always could have said something during lunch. Though it sounds as if you weren't particularly planning to. This is a little difficult for me to just deal with. I'm trying to spend as little time as possible thinking about it. Mark looked away, his jaw working as if he wanted to say something else but was restraining himself. I'm sorry. It's something I just want to get over with as quickly as possible. If I spend too much time thinking on it, explaining it, or analyzing it, I might chicken out. You could have mentioned it last night when I texted you. Is he pouting? It was sort of cute. Allie elbowed me slightly.
So he's texting you in the evenings now, really?
He texts me in the evenings too, actually. Thanks, William. I'm glad I'm not the only one in Mark's life. Someone has to make sure the two of you are safely in your rooms. Especially Nora.
Why especially me? Okay, knock it off, you two. We can't spend all day looking for this stuff, so we need to stop wasting time and get to it.
I want to help. With the tests or the gathering part? Both.
Sorry, I don't have permission for you to miss class too, and we don't have time for you to coerce Velos.
Mark didn't look pleased about that at all, but to my surprise, he let her have that one. Fine, but I want to be there this afternoon.
You don't have to.
Fine, it's fine. Let's just stop arguing about it. Then text me to keep me informed.
You'll be in class.
I'll have my phone on silent. I can check it during the passing period.
Allie started herding me to the library door. She shot Mark a cheeky grin. I'll be sure to have her back before curfew, too.
That's his first girlfriend. He's like, I'm gonna make sure she's safe. I'm gonna protect her. Fight me for it. It's very cute.
He glowered at her as she pushed me through the door and into the courtyard, slamming the door shut behind us. Good God, has he always been like that?
Yeah, basically. Once he stopped being a condescending jerk, which took about a week.
Jeez, I don't know how you put up with it.
He's actually pretty funny when he's annoyed.
And you say my crush on Spencer is demented.
It is. It is. And kinda gross.
Whatever, you're just jealous.
That you have a crush on my brother? No. No, I'm not.
Anyway, we have a bit of a scavenger hunt ahead of us to find some of these things. I hope you're up for it.
Do I get a choice?
Nope! No backing out now. Come on, let's go through the cafe. We can get a coffee first.
Sounds good to me.
I thought it might.